back, and Spain march on to the final where they will be facing Portugal in the Nations League. When you take a look at Spain against France in recent knockout rounds, this is how things are shaping up. We've seen it plenty. Euro 2024 semi-final again. Spain coming through there. 2021 final, France. And Euro 2012 quarters, and it was Spain who advanced there. So 1 out of the 4 would go France's way. And we've got Julien Laurent joining us now to talk more about it. That was a thrilling semi-final, wasn't it, Jules?
It was pretty amazing. I mean, from a French point of view, 4-0 or 5-1, it looked very much humiliating. But it's really the two sides that we expected first. Defensively, they had a lot of players missing. It was very much a makeshift defense. No Saliba, no Upamecano, who would have started at centre-backs. No Jules Koundé at right-back. So Kalulu made his debut and clearly looked out of his depth. He's not a bad player, but clearly right now this was not the solution for him to play at right back in a game like this against Nico Williams and Pedri and Lamine and Oyarzabal. He makes a mistake on the first goal. A lot of it comes on his side, to be fair. So a bit of a nightmare debut for him. But then going forward, especially now with Ryan Cherki, who's the big winner of the night for France, because after coming on after 64 minutes, it was just incredible. I thought in everything he did pretty much. Plus Olise, Ndoué, and Barcola, and Mbappe, and Dembele. France going forward looked great at times. And even at 0-0, they were the better team. Even at 2-0 at half-time, they were still, I thought, the better team in that first half. But Spain are just so good, so efficient. But there was a lot to take positively for the French still.
Absolutely. Tell us a bit more about Ryan Cherki, Jules, because I feel that we're seeing his name everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later with Manchester City, obviously heavily linked, and I believe that deal will go through. But I think this was long due, finally a first cap for him, even a first call-up, because Deschamps had never called him up before. This was the first time, and gave him his debut tonight in a tough game, especially when you were 5-1 down. I guess the French had nothing to lose anymore when they were 5-1 down. But we saw everything that makes Ryan Cherki very good to start with, the 2 feet. Again, I mean, Stevie and Shaka might have played with players who were two-footed, but I can't really remember somebody who was so two-footed like him. He takes free kicks and corners with both feet. He can shoot and cross with either feet exactly in the same way. He can dribble with the 2 feet exactly the same way. And we saw the creativity tonight, the finishing on his goal, the assist on the cross for Colomwani, the 4th goal for France. His second assist for the Viviane own goal too, that ball for Malo Gusto. Perfectly timed and perfectly into space. He's just a wonderful player to watch.
Talking about what we saw in this game, obviously the Nations League, that was almost completed, that comeback from France there. Once Spain had got that result, maybe they took their eye off the ball. Maybe they thought they'd done it, Stevie.
Well, they did, and they made a lot of changes as well, which completely disrupted them. You know, I agree with Jules that at half-time, it could have been 2-0 to France. I mean, had it been, you couldn't have complained. It's just that Spain took the chances. But where they separated themselves, Spain, was that first 15 minutes of the second half. And for me, they finished the game off. And at no stage did I think France were ever going to get back into it. Yes, it looks good here, 5-4. But that little spell, they were just too good for France. And you've got to give France credit. Playing for pride, they came back. Obviously, Cherki coming on was the main difference and the reason, in my opinion, they got back to 5-4. So, yeah, I mean, no question. Cherki, if you're a Man City fan, boy, you're licking your lips.
I agree. Cherki, the big winner, as Jules put it. And I'm also in total agreement. I thought at 0-0, there was only one team really in it, and that being France. And it feels almost ridiculous to be saying to a French team with the successes that they've enjoyed, especially under Didier Deschamps, some of that squad, and I know they're new players, but you've got to take those chances when you have them. France were clearly on top, and then all of a sudden, kind of given Spain's own talents, they get the better, they get the breakthrough, and never really look, and you didn't think there'd be any catching them at any point. But then, even then, as they make changes, you want to have that same conversation with the Spanish national team. When you're this far in front, you don't give up the cheap penalties that Porro does. You don't allow good teams back into the games. So all being said, fantastic game of football for the neutral. Probably the two most frustrated men in the stadium were both managers, because you see how this game kind of swung in roundabouts in ways that players of this quality, football at this level, should not.
Obviously, Spain are the reigning European champions. Are they the best team in the world right now, though, Jules?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I don't think they were that convincing. Yes, they won and they were very clinical. As we said, Stevie's right. The first 15 minutes of the second half, they were fantastic. But they were rattled in that first half. Sorry, they were rattled by the Dutch, by the way, in the quarterfinals, where they managed to go through to the semi-finals, but were a little bit lucky. I felt over the two legs back in March. So it's been a long season as well for them, and we can see there's changes made. But what I would like to point out, and it's not me trying to find excuses for France, but this was very much Spain's first team, top team. You could have put Morata or Dani Olmo for Oyarzabal, but they were both on the bench. You could have put Fabian Ruiz in midfield, maybe instead of Mikel Merino, for example. But apart from that, this is their team. For the French, as we said, a few players missing pretty much everywhere, also in midfield. And when it's the case, when Spain are like that with their strongest team, with players high on confidence, clearly having that confidence that they can face anybody and win, whatever way they will find a way to win, then I think it's a massive plus that the French don't really have right now.
Yeah. You know it's coming, Jules, obviously. We love this conversation here at the moment. Lamine, Yamal-Ousmane, Dembele, Ballon d'Or. And of course, this game got everybody talking about it once again. Everybody being us guys on ESPN FC, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to base it on the game tonight, Ryan Shaka wins the Ballon d'Or. For me, it's as simple as that. And this is how a bit silly sometimes those conversations and debate are, because his 30 minutes on the pitch is better than anybody else would have been on that pitch. Lamine scored a penalty and then scored a goal that Mac should have saved. Dembele missed a couple of good chances that he should have taken, really, and then came off injured. Ryan Shaka was the outstanding player for me in the game tonight. So this is it. The debate will continue over the Club World Cup, where Lamine won't be, but Dembele will be. So every time Dembele will do something, we will say, wow, look at this. He's ahead of Lamine now, or Rafinha, or Kylian, or whatever. But on tonight's game, for me, then you give it to Ryan Shaka.
Yeah, are you ready for a whole summer of it, guys? Because that's what's coming.
Can't wait.
Oh, boy.
Anything stand out tonight in this debate?
In this debate, not an awful lot. I'm in agreement with Jules. There's not a lot you could take from either performance. I guess it's kind of what you'd expect from both of those. The one thing that you can't help but say about Lamine Yamal, just kind of as you're reminded of his age. What was he? 7? Is he 18 yet?
He's nearly 18. He's still 17.
Not even 18 yet. But so, for instance, he gets fouled for the penalty from Rabiot. He picks the ball up and he's there juggling the ball on his shoulder. I mean, it really is, for an 18-year-old playing this game at the highest level, it really is as though he's on the playground. And that for me is the most amazing thing. So in terms of this debate specifically between Dembele and Lamine Yamal, the only takeaway from this is that Lamine Yamal just plays this game as though he were with his friends, that without any kind of pressure. And that is a joy to see. And while Jules is right, certainly in terms of stats, not an awful lot to point out. Give him a goal that should have been saved and a penalty, just his all-round play through midfield. He gets people out of their seats. And that's the one thing, that's probably the biggest takeaway from Lamine Yamal, that regardless of who he's up against, the situation, the circumstance, people just come to life whenever he picks his ball up. And you saw it again. Defenders don't know how to play.
At this stage, though, the people that are voting for the Ballon d'Or, it comes down to personal taste. You know, whether you like guys who do flicks and tricks, do you like pace, do you like strength?
So who are you picking tomorrow? If you're picking a team and you've got the choice between the two of them?
I'm picking Yamal. That's my taste.
That's yours.
Are you a flicks and tricks guy? Is that
He is
what you're
a
telling
flicks
us?
and tricks guy.
Well, he does it all. He's got it all.
Stevie's nothing if not a flicks and tricks guy.
Let's talk about Lamine Yamal stepping up for the penalty at 17 years old and that cool demeanour that we did see once again, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, this for me. I know technically he's clearly a genius and it's fantastic to watch and fantastic to see. And yes, he does things that are wonderful to watch. I just love the personality more than anything else. And I know not everybody is a fan of this super confidence, even at 17 years old. But like Shaka said, to be so relaxed before taking a penalty like that, and it would be in a Champions League final, it would be in a World Cup final, the Euros, to also be the leader and wanting to be the leader, wanting to lead by example at that age is wonderful. I mean, again, I know we talked about it on the show, but when he played that first leg against Inter Milan in the Champions League semi-final, and that was his 100th game, and at the end, he was clearly not happy with the performance and the result, and they handed him that shirt with the number 100 in his name, and he was so not happy. He was not even smiling. He just could not wait to go back into the dressing room because he was so frustrated. This is it. He's the leader of Barcelona. He's one of the leaders in the Spain team, and at that age, I think it's scary to see.
And now we're looking forward to seeing how that final plays out, an Iberian Peninsula final between Spain and Portugal. Well, as we showed you yesterday, Luis Garcia met up with Pep Guardiola to interview him at the Monarca Clinic, which is an integrative medicine clinic that Pep is involved in. This is where the interview took place, and we did get to hear more from the Man City manager about what's ahead from his Man City side when he was speaking to Luis Garcia.
Pep, first of all, thank you very much for your time and to have us in this fantastic place. And the first question, of course, has to be that one. Why have you decided to invest in a longevity clinic?
Well, I'm a smart guy. When I was a football player, I studied as a doctor. Now I am a Dr. Pep, and that's why I want to invest in this clinic. Jokes aside. So I had a big problem in my back, and Mireia did the surgery, and after that we had relation and with her partner and other people. They opened Monarca, and they introduced me to the project, and I said, always I believe that all the money that everybody pays the taxes should go to the schools for the teachers and for the health. And you know what happened after COVID or during the COVID, what happened, how important it is. Always we want to be health, and unfortunately that doesn't happen. Our money don't go there. And I know that is completely different. It's a more private, there's a public one. But yeah, they present me the project, and we said, why not? Because talk about nutritionist, about longevity, about the mental health, about, of course, the surgery, all the stuff. And I said, okay, let's go. And I'm a minor part, so I just to try to help from behind the scenes, because the important are the people they're working with. But yeah, it's the first time in my life I do this kind of things. I'm happy to be there.
Moving on a little bit to football, what is the biggest challenge now after a rough season?
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge? Recover the players mentally for
Absolutely.
Get confidence, or the fitness-wise, because you're not going to have any rest. I mean, finish one and keep it going.
Absolutely, mentally, and give everyone what he needs. We thought it been to come back on 5th of June. July June to training. We start 4 days later, so
A bit more rest.
yeah, have to be like that. I'm pretty sure. And of course, hard to training. But you know, when you play a lot of games and when you have 2 month holidays, you have to train. But you have just 2-3 weeks. A football player, you know, don't lose much. So that's why it's quality training and.
But you believe in the summer you need a little bit of work for the team, because during the season you're not gonna have anything to work with the team with the new signings.
Yeah, but we have you're right. But we have 10 seasons together. Most of the players know each other. The new ones, they will adapt quick, and it's just refresh a few things, and the rest is just question of, you know.
Yes, linking each other. I understand that. You mentioned that you were not going to sign many players. Are you looking for a specific position or a specific player? I mean,
always I say, give me good players.
Yeah, it's always easier.
The rest, it doesn't matter, because the good players can adapt and adjust, and we will adapt. You know, the movement or the tactics or whatever stupid things we say the managers for the quality of the players, and especially players like they go to Anfield or go to Madrid, Bernabeu, Barcelona, Camp Nou or whatever, and said, okay, I want to play in my best. That is the difference, you know, the top players of that.
Yeah, and just to end a little bit, you mentioned a long time ago that at some point you needed, when you decide to finish in Manchester City, to have a rest and see what happened. And this is a question that I wanted to do, because World Cup is nearly there.
Yeah.
Not this one, but the Spanish one. would you consider to be around for the national team? All my respect to De La Fuente, of course, but the 2030 World Cup is going to be there for Spain, in Spain, at home.
Yeah.
Would you consider to be at some point there? Still plenty of time to work at City and to rest.
No, I want to. After City, I said many times, I'm going to take a break. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how long it will take, but
Okay.
I will take a break because I need. You know, I've been since 60, 70 years, except 1 year in New York.
That's
70
crazy.
years, every 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. And I need to sit down a little bit, breathe a little bit, and happen. I would love to train a national team, to experience the World Cup and European Cup, but that is hypothetical. They means want you, and we'll see what happens.
Well, after now with Monarca Clinic, you're going to be ready for a good rest.
I will, absolutely. Mireia knows, and I will come to make here a restyle. You know.
Exactly.
Maybe the hair. You have a hair transplant here. I don't know.
At that time, but they
So
will have
maybe
everything, yeah.
if you give me the hair from Luisa, I will love it. So it's going to happen.
Fantastic, but thank you
Okay.
very much for
You're very
your
welcome,
time.
Luisa. Happy
It's
to
been a
see you.
pleasure.
Huh?
It's very good to see you. Cheers.
Yeah, obviously, I wonder if you'll be visiting the Monarca Clinic, Stevie, given all your longevity practices that you can tell us about here at work.
I never saw any beer. I thought they were having a beer while they were having a chat.
They're hoping not.
Maybe not.
Beer,
I'll be there.
Shaka from the interview, and very relaxed with Luis Garcia, wasn't he?
I mean, it was the right little friendly meeting between those two. Listen, I think you look at Pep and you think of how widely he thinks about the game, you know, in every aspect of it. And you understand why he has enjoyed the success that he has as a manager, because there's nothing that is beyond his view, his visions for his team. And I think this is just another aspect to that.
Stevie, it won't be another season like last year.
No, and they've been very busy, the transfer market. I'm sure some of the players they got in the last window we'll see a lot more of them this coming season. And obviously right now they're doing a lot of business, including, by the sounds of it, Mr. Cherky. I mean, they got to be better if he's in your team. So yeah, I don't think there's any way possible we're going to see such calamitous results and performances from Man City this season as we did last.
And would an 11 like that be taking the Premier League title back from Liverpool, Jules?
I think it would be a much better team than the one we saw this season that just finished, for sure. I think they need somebody like Reinders in midfield for all the things that we've said all season long that they were lacking. The power, the legs, the energy that Reinders has a lot. And I think he's better in the midfield three, but he can play in a double pivot like the one we just put on the graphic. They need someone like Shaki. And again, Foden can play as a 10 if we find the Foden again from 2 seasons ago. They will have wide players who will have that energy, who will have the legs, who can be one-on-one. I think this has to be a more vertical team from Pep next season. We can't have the slow build-up again, because this was also part of the problem.
What else is a refresher? He was talking, Stevie, about, you know, a fresh start and refreshing things up. Obviously, new players are always going to do that. Does losing out this season just gone also give you that boost to try and have a new start?
Well, it should, and I would be absolutely shocked if it doesn't. You know, these players, at the end of the day, everybody can get used to winning. And then when you don't, all of a sudden, it's that jolt of, right, we need to concentrate way more than we did last season. So plus you've got the fresh faces. To me are as good a thing to do as anything, because everybody else wants to show them that actually I'm good, I can play this game, regardless of who it is, whether it's your top guys, your Haalands or anybody else. And so the influx of fresh faces, different little bit different types of players, gets everybody going. But the biggest one, with your question, absolutely. When you have a bad year, you turn up the very first day, you figure out, and Pep Guardiola will have a look at everybody that first day, and he'll know who's at it and who's not going to be at it.
To your question, okay, you cannot write Manchester City off. And while I get what Stevie's saying, I just feel that so much of City's successful teams, albeit a couple of seasons ago, you just wonder if some of those players are starting to age out, if some of the younger players coming in understand the demands of playing in a Pep Guardiola system, what will be asked of them. I still have some questions around, for instance, Nunez at right back, whether Doku, whether he is up for it for an entire season. And then how do you get, as usual, the best out of Erling Haaland? While he continues to score goals in bucket loads, at times you've just asked a little bit more of Erling Haaland. So while yes, City will compete, you just have to see this team play, you have to see this team perform to know if they are anything like the City of old, and kind of give them who Liverpool continue to show themselves to be, who Arsenal you know will be fancying themselves and really intending to make another strong push at a Premier League title, and so many other good teams in this league. It's difficult to say at this point, but it's still early June.
Yes, there's a lot more of that interview over on our YouTube channel. Pep also talks about style adjustments in the new season. Make sure to go and check it out over on our YouTube channel for the full exclusive interview. And so a look at the teams that have already qualified. Obviously USA, Canada and Mexico with automatic qualification as the host nations. You also see Japan, New Zealand, Iran, Argentina and Uzbekistan there too. Just like that, more people have joined us in the studio. We've got Ryan O'Hanlon and Jeff Carlisle, because we do need to talk about the US men's national team in town here, discovering the delights of Bristol once again, due to that game coming up, a friendly between the US and Turkey on Saturday in East Hartford. But we must talk about what's ahead. And I know that you've got an article coming out, a depth chart tomorrow, Ryan, on ESPN FC. However, we love to get ahead of ourselves here on this show, as you guys know well. We have asked you and tasked you with putting together a starting 11 for 2026 with the US. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I think the starting 11 actually looks pretty good, even though almost none of the players that we're going to see on it are going to play in the Gold Cup, unfortunately. So Matt Turner in goal, not really playing for Crystal Palace, but also no one on the team is really challenging him in any way. I think the fullbacks, Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson, are fantastic, probably the strongest part of the team. The center backs, Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards, I think they need a little bit of time together, but there's a lot of potential there. I think the midfield is maybe the strongest area on the team beyond the fullbacks, with Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardozo, Weston McKennie, Tim Weah and Christian Pulisic, the wingers. We're used to those. That's been the winger duo since the World Cup. And then as long as he can stay healthy, I think Falar and Balogun will be playing up top.
What are the expectations here then, Jeff, for the US next year?
I think the expectations are to go to at least the quarterfinals. I mean, they are the host country, and they've been building for this. At least emotionally, they've been building for this, for the last several years. And so, especially when you hire a manager with the pedigree of Mauricio Pochettino, I think that just adds to it. Now, health will play a big part of it, as we're discovering with the Gold Cup coming up, and some of the players that are missing. But especially with this group having done quite well, I thought, in 2022. I mean, they went about as far as you would expect, but they were able to get out of that group, and then they fell to a very good Dutch side. So I think the expectation is that they're going to go one step further than that and really make a mark for themselves in this tournament.
Quarterfinals. When we're talking about tiers of where this side would fall, if you're saying a top tier side coming into the World Cup would be a Spain and Argentina, what tier or what level are we looking at with this US team?
I would say you're really looking at, I'd say, third tier. I mean, if you've got countries that can win it, and then countries that might surprise, I think the U.S. is just under that. And I'm saying that because I have a lot of doubts about this team. I think the performances that they've delivered over the last year have not really been impressive at all. Now, some international teams have done very well at World Cups, having not played well in the run-up. So that could certainly play out for the United States. But really, right now, I have a lot of doubts about this side and who's going to be there and what form they're going to be in.
They've got the home crowd behind them. Quarter-final, attainable for this US team?
It's attainable only if they get a good draw. Otherwise, I don't see how it happens. I mean, right now, looking at that team, if they're all at their very best, then that's possible. But the problem is, what's the chances of all of them being fit and healthy and playing, and also being at their best. You know, the goalkeeping situation is a complete and utter horror show for me. You know, you need a goalkeeper who's going to make at least one save in a game to make a difference. And Matt Turner isn't putting the gloves on. And as Ronnie says, there's nobody pushing to get in front of him. So that's a complete disaster for me. Sergio Dest as well. I don't trust Dest. I don't trust his character, to be honest. Again, at his best, he's good. But there's too many players on that team I don't trust. I don't trust Balogun. You know, you take Pulisic out, Pulisic's injured. Where's the goals coming from? Yes, that middle piece you're talking about, that little triangle in the middle of the park, looks really strong. I absolutely agree with that. But where's the goals coming from? You've got to score goals to win a game. And as I said, defensively, particularly in the goalkeeper situation, you play against anybody, you could be in trouble.
Could you see a quarter-final stage for this US side?
I think it's possible, but I tend to agree with Stevie. I feel like we have the top tier is what? Spain, Brazil, France, and Argentina, maybe. Then we have the Portugals, Italy's below that. And then it just feels like there's like a glut of teams between like 10 and 25 that are just like, there's not a huge difference between them. So I do think that a quarterfinal appearance is possible. One, because soccer is random and upsets happen, and two, if a good draw happens. But I think with the new setup, it seems like the way the draw will work, the U.S. is going to play someone who won their group in the second round if they win their group. And that means they're going to play one of those top 10 teams that we talked about. So to me, I think success is making it to the round of 16. I think if they make it to the quarterfinals, then yeah, you give them an A.
You do have the outliers though, Shaka. Think about Morocco in the last World Cup all the way to the semi-finals. Go back to 2002, South Korea with the nation behind them all the way to the semi-finals as well. Why not the US?
Well, and that's a question here, especially as a host nation. And normally when we're talking about outliers, it's one of those host nations who can't, because you do get a good draw. We'll see how that pans out, given that 3 nations can lay claim to hosting. So they certainly will get a good first round draw, and then you see from there. And then to your point, Kay, it's anybody's game in terms of how things pan out, who's in form. Suspensions may very well play a part. The extended format, again, throws a certain level of uncertainty that, as we sit right now, we can't speak to or use example around. And then I share the same concerns of everybody here, that there are teams coming into this tournament who, there's probably 4 or 5, it's win or not. If you don't win, it's seen as a disappointment. There's 4 countries at least who can lay claim to as much. Another 5 or 6 who, if you don't at least get a final or at the very least a semi-final, again, that's seen as a disappointment. And then the US kind of following in from there. And here's my concern. The centre-forward position is a concern. As everybody's mentioned, while Balogun certainly gets a nod right now, nobody's laid real claim to that starting position. And then in previous tournaments, I think the US have been able to put out a better back four than the one we just saw on that full screen. And even in doing that, you ask a lot of your goalkeeper. US has always been able to rely heavily on their goalkeeping talent. Now, again, kind of given Matt Turner's position, or lack of it in club level, I'm not sure that he is as reliable as names gone by. So all those things put together, really the only plus is a draw, a potential good draw, but nothing else in terms of players, in terms of playing, is filling me with an awful lot of confidence.
Let's talk about the coach. Is Pochettino the right guy to take this US men's team forward?
He's going to have to be. I think he's gotten a little bit of a baptism in terms of what this team is capable of. And I think just reading some of his comments, there have been some subtle jabs at the culture around the U.S. team. You even heard Tyler Adams say it after the Nations League, that guys were doing things with their clubs that they weren't necessarily bringing to the national team. And then you have Pochettino making his comments when one of the rosters was announced, saying, some guys want to come and play golf and go to dinner, and no, they have to really want this. And so I think that's the biggest challenge for him over the next 12 months, is really finding a bunch of guys that are going to spit fire for this team and really play with intensity, play with desire. And I think that's why a guy like Diego Luna is getting so many looks right now, because everyone sees that bloody nose and the blood streaming down his face and think, okay, that's a guy that really wants to play for his national team. And so I think Pochettino's got a lot of challenges ahead of him. I mean, he's got a great reputation as a man manager of, really reaching his players. He's going to have to pull off every trick in the book, I think, over the next year in order to do that.
I hope that's the way he's going. For too long, it's been all about this. We have to have an identity, and we need to play the super game, and we need to play the lovely game the way it's supposed. All the successful US teams in history have been about spitting and fire and fighting and punching and standing up strong. If he gets back to that, then it's possible you get a quarter-final, because you just fight your way through it, as previous US teams have done. So I hope that's the way he's going, because if he's going the beautiful game way, then he ain't getting near the quarter-final.
Your thoughts on Pochettino, Ryan, and trying to get this leadership and this commitment from his players?
Yeah, my concerns with Pochettino are more tactical. I kind of feel like U.S. soccer can get stuck in these ruts where they're chasing their own tail. They're chasing after these trends like 8 years after they existed. Like, we wanted to be England for a long time. I remember how many English coaches I had growing up. Now it seems like we want to be Spain and dominate possession. But that like slow possession style of soccer is really not in vogue anymore, and also like doesn't fit the U.S. players. I think what Stevie's talking about, it has like a tactical application in that all of the players in the U.S. are at their best when they're able to run in space and play in transition. Under Pochettino so far, they're basically playing like Chelsea played under Pochettino. It's a ton of slow possession, and they just have such a hard time creating good chances. So I'm a little concerned with his ideas not matching up with the player pool at all so far, but hopefully, he's seen that, and the style that they try to play fits the players a little bit better going forward.
So, of course, there is the Gold Cup coming up. What will we learn from that about this side?
I don't think a whole lot as it relates to next year's World Cup. By my count, there are 4 starters out of Ryan's ideal 11 that are going to be on the field for any length of time, and so I think we'll get some answers in terms of fringe guys, or maybe like a Diego Luna, to see what they can do in a tournament setting. When there's pressure in these games, it's not just a friendly. I mean, granted, there's a kind of pressure for them in those games too, but you're going to see him really experimenting a little bit. And you kind of wish this had happened 2 years ago or at the beginning of the cycle, but this is the hand that Pochettino's been dealt. And so he's going to have to really try to see what he has, and especially in the attacking side, see what players can emerge, and then maybe help the U.S. team in a year's time.
What do you want to see from it, Ryan?
I think I'd like to see a little bit more of an emphasis on set pieces, which was another big thing under the U.S. in the past. They've been horrible at set pieces, despite hiring a famous set piece coach, Gianni Vio.
Stevie's favorite thing, set piece coaches.
It's unclear what he's doing currently. I think that is like a very easy button for them to push, regardless of the personnel. And then I think you also just want to see, you want to come out of this tournament maybe with your center back pairing for the World Cup, because that's the one spot where it's kind of up in the air. I think how the players play together is more important at center back maybe than anywhere else in the field, and all of the good quality candidates for center back at the World Cup are on the roster. So I think we're not going to know a lot about whether this team can create an open play, because most of its good attackers aren't there. But the center backs are there, so hopefully you come out of it with an idea of who you want to be playing next summer.
Is this tournament important for the US, Shaka, the Gold Cup?
Should be. But I don't think, kind of given the squad, more to the point, given the omissions, that it will end up being. And now the challenge for me with the US and this Gold Cup and the weakened roster is that this is their last meaningful competition before the World Cup next year. While they're international windows, because you've already qualified, those are friendlies, no other way to look at it. And so it then becomes difficult to assess exactly where this team is going into the World Cup. And I know we're 12 months away. But that's a big ask for Pochettino, for this squad. How do they fare under meaningful competition when they're tested? We won't know until the World Cup.
It is the final of the season for Shaka Hislop.
Well, there can be no arguing this time. Actually, anyway. PSG top of the tree, as you'd understand. Barcelona, Liverpool, Bayern following. Napoli, who just got the better of Inter, because they finished second in Italy, because they're Champions League finalist losers, they dropped down to 8th. And then Chelsea and Spurs as Europa Conference League and Europa League winners respectively make up the top 10. And if it's one thing I can say with some confidence, with a whole lot of confidence, this is my best work yet. The algorithm is again unfailing.
This is the easiest one of the lot to do.
Well,
Because everything's done. It's all trophies, it's all league winners, it's all Champions League winners. This is the easiest one of the lot to do. And you got it wrong.
What did I get wrong?
Inter never got a trophy. Right?
That's right.
Every other team on that board was lifting the silverware. It's all about winning.
They pushed Napoli all the way in Serie A.
Oh, well
Champions
done.
League.
They had a
Champions League
record
finalists.
defeat in the Champions
good
League
for them.
final.
To the team that are top of the tree. To the team that are top of the tree.
Oh, good
I
for
think
them.
Inter are deservedly number 8.
Jules Laurent is with us, and I'm sure he's not very upset with number 1 in the list.
He's all right.
Shaka, you've won me over with PSG number 1. You know, I've never loved you as much as tonight.
You're easily bought.
That is true. That is true. Jules is normally the harshest critic. That's why I put PSG number 1.
You did drop Arsenal out, though, his other team.
Well, Arsenal couldn't be there. If you're
No
moaning,
trophies.
if you're
Yeah,
moaning about,
you're right.
Hold on. If you're moaning about
trophies.
Inter, you can't. Arsenal couldn't be there.
You're right. No trophies. Arsenal shouldn't be there. You're right.
All right, well, Shaka is back tomorrow.
I'm retiring from now.
For now.
Retiring.
The summer off with the power. Thank goodness.
I need a rest.
Shaka will be back tomorrow.
Will I?
Yes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
will.
I forgot.
You just might as well camp out here tonight, Shaka. Make sure you're with us.
Whenever you're ready, Kev.
Thanks for doing my job for me, guys.
Boy.
Somebody has to, right?
You see?
Hello, welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Jules is with us.
Well, I thought you'd shut down there.
The algorithm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the last day of school, isn't it? So you're right. Shaka's here. Stevie's here. Shaka has been on his travels, though, recently. He's been in rubbing shoulders with people in high places.
Well, you know,
Prime
It's the
Minister.
Keir Starmer, the Prime
Keir
Minister
Starmer.
of the UK.
you know that's just how I roll.
What's going on here, Shaka?
We're just having a casual conversation about whether Arsenal should be in the top 10 or not. I
Check.
said, Sir Keir, I'm sorry. No silverware. You're not in the top 10. It's a hard top 10 to be in.
I hope
Okay.
you put him right on the budget.
What?
We don't talk politics on the show, Stevie.
Well, he needs to. Well, that guy.
The first question is actually about Shaka's visit to number 10 Downing
Not
Street.
about the budget, is it?
It's not about the budget.
Thank God. Thank God. Oh, boy.
It's not even about financial fair play. But Shaka, what were you and Keir Starmer talking about? What points did you take away from your time with him that you can share with us?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, we were talking about Arsenal and whether they should be in the top 10 or not. And I said, Sir Keir, you've just got to be better than that. You can't finish second, no silverware. That's not going to wash in my top 10.
Tell us a little bit more about your special trip.
Oh, well, in all honesty, Show Racism the Red Card, the anti-racism organisation that I'm president of, it was our 5th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. 10 Downing Street reached out to us some months ago asking if they could be hosts, and initially it was actually scheduled for January, and then it got moved to June, obviously. And we were able to host in the gardens of 10 Downing Street. Weather was absolutely beautiful. Arsenal was one of the clubs inducted, along with Sunderland, Bolton, Arsenal, and I forgot the 4th. You know,
We can't help you.
it's gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me.
And that's the president as well.
Right? Oh God!
It was only a few days ago.
You know the 4th was? Portsmouth, who I played for, my team. And I presented Portsmouth with their award. So it really was a fantastic day. So many of the ex-players who've been a part of the work that we do over the last 30 years showed up. So it was great. Had a lot of laughs, good fun. It was an evening well spent.
We were very proud of you, Shaka.
Thank you very much, Kay.
I do have a question, though.
All right.
Did you use the restroom while you were there? I always want to know if they're like really spectacular and really posh.
I did.
Were they?
No, they weren't.
Just normal?
There's just no. I mean, in all honesty, it's an old building. When I say it's been refurbished, but you know, narrow hallways. The
Well, you have to
layout
go at the
has
back.
Huh?
Did you have to go to the shed at the back?
No. I'm just
said it was
saying.
old.
Back in the day, the restrooms did used to be outside the house.
They're inside. They're inside.
Okay.
But as you know, narrow hall. You know, like you go into any old, but hallways are narrow. It's not like now where everything's kind of open plan, and so it's that kind of traditional layout. But it was fantastic because while it's been obviously refurbished, so much of it you just kind of recognize from seeing on TV, and it's exactly like that, you know. And it was a good day. Saying that, it's not my first time being there, I will add.
Oh.
I actually had a Hall of Fame there in 2008 when Gordon Brown was Prime Minister.
Was it one of those old ones where you pull it and everybody in the house can hear you? The whole building knows that you're
Sorry,
in.
I started this. My apologies. I just always wonder about these things. Okay, we learned the other day that Shaka had the privilege of meeting the British Prime Minister as part of the Show Racism the Red Card campaign. For the rest, who is the most important person they have gotten the chance to meet? Stevie.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would probably guess it would be Mr. Nelson Mandela.
That is up there.
That is impressive.
Or Muhammad Ali. I guess it would be a toss between Nelson Mandela and Muhammad Ali.
I would have loved to met one of those two. I've never met either of those.
Some people like those two in particular, but people of that ilk have this aura about them.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's coming out of them or whether it's you feel it because you know who they are. But both of them had this. I can't even explain what it was. It's just there's a feeling you get when somebody's around that's not quite just an ordinary person. There's something special about them. So, yeah.
I would have loved to meet. That would be my dream kind of. If you say to me you could have dinner with one person, living or alive, living or dead, those two would probably be in the top two. In all honesty, Muhammad Ali and Nelson Mandela.
You're pretty high, right? Can you beat that, Jules?
Not really. I mean, I don't have anybody living or alive, like Shaka just said, to be fair. But Diego Maradona is the one for me. Like, very lucky to interview him when he was the Argentina head coach and they played France in Marseille a long time ago. But yeah, I can't beat Shaka or Stevie.
I met the Queen as well.
Oh my goodness.
Met the Queen.
Now you're showing off now.
I'm just, you know.
Oh, do you know who I
Did
met?
you meet the Queen?
Oh, I met Princess Di.
Did you?
I did, aye. Cup final day. She was presented to both teams. Yeah, so I met Princess Di as well.
Stevie can have a power rankings of
Right.
famous people that he's met.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
I
did
said,
you
I've
work?
got to, I said, you know
Stevie
what?
wins.
I've got to tell you. Wait a minute. So, I had a picture framed of me meeting Princess Di, right? And my mum came down to visit us when we were in Sheffield. And I had it on the, I think it was in the kitchen wall or something. And I got to my mum, I said, by the way, come and see this. I went, who's that? And she went, oh, it's you. I went, no, not me. I went, no. I went, no, not me. That lady. She went, I've absolutely no idea. She went, who is it? I went, it's Princess Di. She went, no, it's not. Don't be silly, and walked away. I thought I was winding her up. Honestly.
Who's that?
Who's that?
You.
It's you. I went, I know it's me. Don't mean me. I mean the other one. She's like, no, it's not. And she walked away. Didn't believe me.
That was a nice question. Okay, Leverkusen want 140 million for Florian Wirtz. Should Liverpool pay that for Alexander Isak instead?
No,
Why
just leave
not,
Isaac
Jack?
alone. Just leave Isaac alone. He's happy. He's happy where he is. Just leave him alone.
He is in the best part of the world.
Well, without
northeast of
question.
England.
Without any kind of question. Just leave Alexander alone. Just leave Alex alone.
What do you think, Jules?
I think it's one or the other. Obviously, we've discussed a lot on the show. They don't have unlimited funds either to go and sign all the players that they want. So, of the number 9 or the number 10, to put it simply, they just wanted to strengthen that number 10 position. So Szoboszlai had a good season. they believe that Wirtz is a better player. I think they're right, and that's why they are right now negotiating for that deal to go through. And if that deal goes through, there's obviously not enough money left for a number 9 at the price of Alexander Isak. So they might not sign a number 9. They might do if they lose Darwin Núñez or maybe Luis Diaz, and then they could sign a number 9 or somebody that could also play on the left-hand side, a bit like Diaz with that kind of versatility. But for now, the priority is very much Wirtz.
Are you pained with that question?
Aye.
Why?
Because I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think if you sign Isak, you're guaranteed 20 goals a season. He's got more than 20 goals in the last 2 seasons in the Premier League. So you're guaranteed 20 goals, I think. But then if you sign Florian Wirtz, you're probably guaranteed that he's going to make as many goals. I don't think there's a wrong answer to this.
It's win-win.
It's a win. Whichever
Leave
one
Isak
you
alone.
get,
Leave
you are better.
Isak's happy where he is. Top. Just leave him alone.
Okay, Jules, where was Maignan tonight? Was his head distracted because of Chelsea's interest?
I don't think that was the problem. I think he wants to go to Chelsea. Chelsea want him. They just need to find an agreement with Milan. Right now, there's a difference in the valuation. What Milan want, around 25 million euros. For somebody who turns 30 on July 3rd and has only 1 year left on his contract, you can see that as a bit too expensive, and that's what Chelsea are thinking. So they would rather pay 15 million euros, for example. But because all 3 parties really want this deal, Milan don't want him to stay because he's not going to extend his contract, so they would lose him in a year on a free. Doesn't make any sense for them. So I think this deal will happen. I don't think that was the problem. The problem is he had Kalulu at right back, he had Theo Hernandez at left back, and Ibrahima Konate and Longley as the 2 centre backs. I mean, L'Equipe, as we know, are quite harsh in their ratings for games. They gave Kalulu a 2, Konate a 2, Longley a 2, and Theo Hernandez a 2. So at least everybody is on the same level, 2 out of 10.
A 2. L'Equipe, so harsh. Yesterday, Ale said that when Yamal was out, Barca was struggling, therefore he should be the Ballon d'Or winner. That's putting words in his mouth a bit, but that's what was picked up yesterday. Today,
That's what I heard.
when Dembele was substituted, France scored 3 goals. Do we follow the same principle?
Ah, boy. Ah, boy. Don't look at me. Ask Jules.
Jules said it on the show, didn't he, when he was talking about Yamal and Dembele, who should win the Ballon d'Or? Is it because of what they did on this game, or is it, so it's kind of the same question, really.
Yeah, Shirky should win it, he said.
Yeah, well, Shaka should. On this game. Hey, as they say, you're only as good as your last game. And right now, Shirky's Ballon d'Or material.
Who would you pick between Yamal and Dembele, Jules?
Oh, boy.
Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but I'll go for Ousmane Dembele. Listen, I can't have a Ballon d'Or that scored 3 goals in the Champions League season. I can't have a Ballon d'Or that scored 9 goals in the league. I'm sorry, Lamine is great. He's still young. He's a wonderful talent, technically super gifted. He puts you on the edge of your seat every time he does. But there's not enough goals for me there to compare to Ousmane Dembele. But then it depends. You want either the style and the looks, or you want the numbers. And people would differ. Stevie said it really well on the show. We all have different opinions. I would rather take the treble from Dembele, and being such a key part of a team that is the best team in Europe. Dembele is the best player in the best team of Europe. How can he not win the trophy of the best player in Europe when he's the best player in the best team of Europe? And for me, that's simple. And he's got better numbers than Lamine Yamal.
Okay. Important question, Shaka. When will we be getting a power rankings of teams in the Club World Cup?
No. I've retired. After tonight's power rankings, I've retired. I've retired on top.
Tomorrow?
Top. Sorry.
I've retired undefeated.
Tomorrow we're looking for some content for the show.
Don't stop.
Bonus edition.
No, I'm still
Right.
exhausted from today's.
Viewers who were so loyal to
I'm
us.
still exhausted from today's. It was hard work today, okay?
Hey, Jules, thoughts about Real Madrid signing Franco Mastantuono?
Well done to them. PSG were also keen, and I think Real Madrid was his dream move anyway. So 45 million euros, which is a lot of money for a 17-year-old, as talented as he is, and he's been great for River this season. He will stay and play with River in the Club World Cup and then join Real Madrid after that. Ideally, Real Madrid, I think, wanted him for the Club World Cup to just get used to the environment and the squad. It's not going to happen. But the other thing to say is you have Arda Güler, who's a similar profile. You've got Brahim Diaz, who's a similar profile, on top of Rodrigo and Kylian and Vini and Hendrik and Bellingham. That's a lot of players. So Mastantuono coming, and he, as we said, he's not going to come not just now. He will come in August. That's a lot of players for Xabi Alonso for next season. So I'm waiting to see who leaves the club as well, because they can't just keep everybody in that squad.
No, they can't. But maybe they would feature in Shaka's Club World Cup power rankings.
Ooh, can't wait for that
we'll
one.
leave it there. Can't wait for that tomorrow. Make sure to tune in to see if that will materialise. Another power rankings, back-to-back days from Shaka Hislop. Thanks for watching us today.